Hello everyone, hi. So this is an interesting situation. Happy Friday. I've gotten used to just lying in my bed and talking to 17,000 people. Doesn't everybody do that? Thank you everybody who decided to tune in, much appreciation. So I did tonight's meditation and I'm gonna go ahead and just go through everything, how it looks from my perspective. This is a mindfulness meditation, so you're trying to pull back and just look at things objectively, see the energy, and try and determine objectively where we think the energy is headed. So in the case, the first thing I look at, the first target is Smithfield. So Smithfield is the plant. It's owned by the Chinese. Remind me where it is. Is it in Iowa? Remind me where this Smithfield is. I can't recall. Somewhere in the Midwest. But we had done a meditation about the meat industry several months ago. And in that meditation, we tried to put ourselves in the shoes of somebody who was a pig farmer. And when we made that request, so to speak, in the grand scheme of things, you know, make me a pig farmer. You know, when you're in that meditative state, you go through that rabbit hole and then pop out through the other end. This is how lucid dreaming, the imagination works, etc. Or perhaps it has an aspect of what is real. And that's what we're going to get to, that rabbit hole. We found ourselves talking to a group of other farmers about the fact that the FDA was swabbing the pigs and had determined that they were infected. And how could the infection be passed? So in that remote, the pig farmer had said, they're going to shut the whole thing down. They're going to shut the whole thing down. And that's actually what happened. They had to shut things down. They claimed they cleaned things. But what is now starting to come out, if you recall in that meditation, there was evidence that the feds had suppressed information about what was necessary to protect the workers, that there would be future lawsuits, that the FDA had intentionally suppressed data, knowing that the pigs were infected, knowing that the people were in enclosed conditions, knowing that this was a coronavirus and very likely highly contagious in that kind of an environment. They minimized and trivialized the risk because many of the investors were important people in the GOP. That appears to be what they're accusing, that there was pressure placed on the FDA to be lax. So, of course, there were hundreds of people that were infected, and so now we're looking at potentially multiple lawsuits. So that is the first thing when you step back and you look at the energy of Smithfield is, by deductive reasoning, you couldn't have had an outbreak that bad, that quickly, if the FDA had been doing their job. But also based on that meditation, the takeaway from it was that because they knew, and because you couldn't find the data, even in government websites, because I went looking for certain types of data, that they knowingly put human lives at risk and people died. So we'll probably be seeing civil lawsuits. And also I think that there needs to be congressional hearings about that, and probably will be. The second remote I did was on Regeneron, the drug Regeneron. Now, there's been some controversy about Regeneron because it is a polyclonal antibody treatment where they take two different types of antibodies that are created by people fighting COVID. They used fetal tissue that had been collected probably from abortions. The labs sell the fetal tissue and they can use it for cloning, etc. So the great irony here is that the Republicans who are golf buddies of Trump, there's two men that are involved with Regeneron, that is how they got their stem cells. But that was how they grew the stem cells. What is interesting about this whole story is that the federal government had given them tens of millions, I think even hundreds of millions of dollars in an emergency package to try and develop these types of drugs like Regeneron. So that goes into the whole story of where are our tax dollars going. We're working our asses off and they're giving their friends $500 million or 70 million or 80 million or whatever the cost is to develop these drugs, and that is why people become cynical. At the same time, objectively speaking, when you look at it, when you stop getting angry and you look at it just objectively from a scientific perspective, it's probably a good medicine that will, in fact, help people. But it was just interesting to see when you went into the Regeneron that it really is a good medicine, but there are ethical. I think that they wanted to promote their drug, but I also think that they genuinely wanted to help their friend, and that's how they were able to make this happen. But that wouldn't happen for your grandmother or you or your partner or whoever. If they got sick, they wouldn't have that type of VIP treatment. And I think the anger that people are starting to talk about is the fact, and they talked about it a little bit tonight on Lawrence O'Donnell, is the fact that we're all stuck paying for this, his negligence. And that is the other thing that I wanted to talk about, which was when I went into the energy on DT. First, I want to just finish up with the thing about Regeneron. So a lot happened with DT when I went into the energy because it's an experimental drug. When I went into this meditation, I found a couple things were going on with him. Number one, his immune system has been heavily suppressed for a few reasons. One of the reasons his immune system has been suppressed is because it's exhausted because it's been fighting COVID. So this is causing suppression of the immune system. The other thing that is causing suppression of his immune system is that they've given him a corticosteroid, which is a type of anti-inflammatory, which can take the pain away and get the inflammation down, but it also can suppress the immune system. So he's on two things are going on that are causing suppressed immune system. And then finally, the concern theoretically, this is theoretical because we don't even know what's going to happen with a drug like Regeneron, is they're concerned about some type of immune feedback loop. So that if you're already receiving antibodies, even if it's only temporarily monoclonal antibodies or polyclonal antibodies, would this theoretically have an impact on suppressing your own body's ability to start producing its own antibodies? Because the process of making that happen isn't happening, that you're going straight to making the antibodies. So the concern here is that's Mila saying hi. The concern is that because he's of the cocktail and because of the nature of his illness, and because he's continuing to work and stressing out, he could very well wind up back in the hospital because he very likely is still infected. He's very likely still infected, and he's got 3 things working against him that are wiping out his immune system, not to mention the stress, the age, the terrible diet, etc. So I just putting the pieces together, it would not surprise me if he wound up back in the hospital. All right, so the other thing is that he's very vulnerable to a secondary infection because of what happened to his immune system. Okay, we talked enough about that. All right, so the other thing people wanted to know when Trump had his last negative test, and when I went into that meditation, it looked like his last. The problem I had as Trump when I put myself into an empathy meditation is that I didn't like. I'm emotionally a child. Yeah, I'm stunted emotionally. So how many children want to go to a doctor and have a cotton thing stuck really high up their nose, and it's very invasive and it feels very unpleasant? Not many 3-year-olds would sign up for that. So initially Trump was very resistant. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. He was scared of what it was going to say. And then finally he did it. And then there came a period where they stopped reporting his COVID results. And that's because he thought it was stupid. He said he thought it was stupid because he had like 3 negative in a row and he didn't want to do it anymore. So basically he thought it was stupid and didn't want to do it anymore. And not only did he think it was stupid and didn't want to do it anymore, but he basically thought it was stupid for other people around him to do it. And so what happened was that he actually created a vulnerable situation where the White House became a super spreader environment. So basically that's the thing they don't want people to find out, is that he stopped testing months ago. And it just feels like that's part of the personality disorder. 3 years old, selfish. He feels he is entitled to do what he likes. Also very angry at women, very angry that his mother left him, and very demanding. So it's a really a twisted energy to go into. All right, so the last meditation I did had to do with the militia that was arrested in Michigan, and it reminded me of going back to the meditation that I had done a couple of months ago, where it was a very dark black energy, and it was where I experienced a man that had been the victim of a lynching. Yes, hi, Mila. And the thing I took away from that experience, from that meditation, was that some of the people that are a part of this have extremely advanced military training. It felt to me like it was a special ops, just people that had really gone far in the military, and for whatever reason they had turned out like this, and it did look like almost like Al-Qaeda training camps, and just very efficient. For example, if you wanted to execute somebody, get in, get out quickly, this is the kind of training these people receive. If you were going to hang someone, you would get in, you'd get out, boom, boom, boom. 2 minutes, nobody knows you're there. It's that kind of training. It's becoming that advanced. And I think the FBI, rightly so, is becoming really frightened. Yeah, so that's basically all I have. I thought it was pretty funny they were talking about Donald Trump being like Eva Perón on the balcony, "Don't cry for me, Argentina." I thought that was pretty funny. I think of him more as King Kong on the Empire State Building screaming just because he's, pumped up on steroids, sick and completely out of it. And I don't know, I wish him well. All right, there she comes. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time. Bye. Say hi, Mila. Up. Say hi. Night.